Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about the October 1st, 2020 full moon in Aries, part 2 of 2. Now, another thing that's significant when you're uh, looking at a transit like a full moon, a new moon, lunar eclipse, solar eclipse, is looking at the house it falls in. Now, uh, given, not for me, because based on the house it falls in, of course, it can impact its delineation interpretation for you personally. Now, uh, mine is going to fall in my 12th house. Now, the thing about this is the way it may manifest for me is it may make me more cognizant, because the full moon can be about revelations and unveilings. I do believe it could be about self-revelations and unveilings. Being cognizant, really, of maybe having courage and fortitude as a hidden strength, perhaps. Thing is, and it could also be revealing maybe a revelation of an Aries hidden adversary. I do believe it. I mean, it could be an actual Aries sun, moon, or sun in person, or one that simply embodies Aries characteristics, and also being aware about the fact of my limitations. The 12th house is the house of restrictions and limitations, of course, and it can be matters with initiative, enterprise, courage, fortitude, anything that could be Aries related. Now, another thing too is that looking at the aspects it makes to points in the chart is significant as well, because of course that could flavor the interpretation, delineation for you. Now, mine, as I stated before, is going to fall in my 12th house, and it's also going to make a conjunction to my natal Chiron in Aries, a fairly close conjunction to it. My Chiron in Aries is at 10 degrees, and the full moon in Aries is going to be at 9 degrees. Now, the thing about this is, when you're talking about Chiron and Aries, it could be about unworthiness, and feeling like you're not, that there's some kind of worthlessness or what have you, and the thing is, not measuring up to what other people are able to do, or what have you. And the thing about it is the fact that the moon is going to conjunct it. Remember, the moon can be about our feelings, and this could be about really having those strong feelings of that at this time, and having this actually come out. Whether it could be, the full moon can be about revealing things, coming out publicly with matters, and this could be simply no exception, but at the same time, on a positive note, understanding that this is about maybe being cognizant of these feelings of unworthiness, which really it was really tied in maybe to some kind of limitation or restriction. And an Aries energy is about enterprise and initiative. In Chiron and Aries, I see that as manifesting in a lot of cases about some kind of emotional suffering that could be tied into lack of assertiveness, aggressiveness, initiative, enterprise, taking action on matters. And the fact that the moon is hitting it, it could really be a time where it's impacting the understanding. This could be more of more emotionally, but given that this is the full moon is about revelations, it could give me more of an understanding about this, and trying to find out, what I can actually do about this, and start to work on those limitations. Now, another thing too, it's also what's significant is looking at the electional aspects that it makes. Now, this full moon in Aries, it's going to be involved in a cardinal T-square configuration. Of course, you're going to have the adversarial energy, the sun in Libra, making the opposition to the moon in Aries, because naturally, when you have a full moon, the moon is always going to be in an opposition aspect to the sun. Now, it's this energy, the opposition between the sun in Libra and the moon in Aries. They're both going to be squared by the focal point, which is Jupiter and Capricorn. Now, when you're talking about, T-squares in astrology, this is they can be, you know, have tension, a lot of exasperation, and certain tribulation, or at least some roadblocks and things, and even delays you have. One way I think this may manifest, this cardinal T-square configuration. Okay, you have the Sun in Libra making the opposition to the Moon in Aries, so you can have this energy where you're looking at something with, I mean, Aries energy could be about self-reliance, that need, that emotional need for self-reliance, versus doing things, collaborating with others, that wanting to collaborate with others, which is the Sun in Libra, and putting that focus on that. The Sun could also be about our focus. The fact that you have the square going on, the point of the square from Jupiter and Capricorn, the focal point of the T-square configuration can be that point of over accentuation and emphasis. And the thing about it is, many people may be going, Jupiter can be about religion. It could be about going to, you know, trying to get answers on what, you know, what they feel, people can feel they can do, what can they do to for themselves, by themselves, what needs to be done with others. It can be through something Jupiterian, like some kind of prayer. It may be through publishing consistently and getting answers from people that they know. It could be on social media or what have you. Jupiter and Capricorn again could be about something religious that can be an orthodox religion. I don't mean the title of, as far as people that are in that specific religion, or people that are orthodox, like Greek Orthodox sort of. I mean from just a conventional kind of religion. And also, there can be, I mean, Jupiter is a planet of luck and fortune, and it can come from maybe through mentors and older people as well, and that could be that point where people might be trying to overemphasize and over accentuate to try to reconcile any issues that are between this full moon in Aries energy and the Sun in Libra. Now, if this falls in the first or sixth house in one's natal chart, this might be some kind of, you know, something coming out that might be a fiscal issue. Full moon in astrology, when you're talking about something of a fiscal debilitation, I don't see this as being as significant as, say, when something comes out on like a solar or lunar eclipse or super moon. But there might be some mild, you know, injury that might come out at this time. I mean, considering this is Aries, it may be something like a mild concussion or some very light, mild swelling of the face. Aries, of course, is associated with the brain, the face, the eyes, the skull. It could just be some kind of cut or contusion that maybe someone wasn't cognizant of or aware of before, that might be on a person's face. Let's say, for example, if this is making an adverse aspect to one's natal Uranus, it could be some kind of intermittent twitching, you know, with the eye, one of the eyes, for example. And another thing too to look at is that other electional transits can be emphasized and accentuated at this time because they are taking place at the time of the full moon. And when you have other transits that take place while the full moon is transpiring, they could be intensified and amplified because they're taking place at the same time as the full moon. Now, I see what's got me a little bit concerned is there's going to be a conjunction between Mars and the black moon Lilith in Aries. Now, you're going to have Mars and Chiron at this time in Aries are both going to be retrograde, and right there, that could be, I mean, you're talking about this conjunction with Mars and the black moon Lilith. I mean, the way I see this possibly is that you might see a proliferation of self-inflicted risk could be is retrograde energy, and harm and injury is associated with Mars. It could very well be done through gunfire in a lot of cases because Mars is going to be in Aries. And the fact that it's conjunct the black moon Lilith, it might be attributed to perhaps some kind of self-reproach, or really, or it might be due to self-reproach, or really, or some kind of sorrows that the person may be going through, and it might be regarding, you know, matters connected maybe with lack. Again, we're talking about the Aries energy. Might be the lack of feeling worthy, or really maybe there's something, as far as leadership qualities, or some inability to take initiative or enterprise, or lack of courage or fortitude, just taking act, or inability to take action in matters. And the thing is too, and the fact that you, again, going back to this retrograde energy with Mars and Aries, and having Chiron and Aries, and the fact you're in the full moon and the volatiles, I would say is the unequivocally Aries is the most volatile sign of the zodiac. It's a time where people really need to be careful not to act on impulse, or being overly impetuous and do things that could be connected with self-inflicted harm. Hold on a moment, people. Now, another thing too is that we're looking at um, other transits. I mean, well, I already talked about it. The next thing I want to talk about is other transits to your natal chart might be more pronounced and prominent because they are taking place at the time of the full moon in Aries. Now, you're going to have the transit Sun in Libra. It's going, for me, well, not for me, the transit Sun in Libra is going to make a very tight square to my natal Sun in Cancer. The Sun in Libra is going to be at 9 degrees. My Sun in Cancer natally is at 9 degrees. So you're talking about a conflict perhaps with drive. The Sun could be associated with drive, and life is associated with the Sun as well. The drive, the motivation energy might conflict with my life to some degree, and the drive, the fact that you're talking about the Sun and Libra, drive toward intellectual sociability, ingratiating myself with others, and just socializing in general, connected with relationships, may conflict with my Sun in Cancer, the introversion, that my life that is associated with my home, my introversion, and that is where you could have a lot of tension. Thing that I honestly don't understand is that a lot of texts and online sources may say that, okay, that the Sun, when you have transit Sun making an adverse aspect to your natal Sun, you might have more of abundance and surfeit of energy, which I really don't quite get, because you figure you have the two planets that can be associated with energy. I mean, well, it's the same planet, the Sun. You think it wouldn't work that way, but it does seem to be, where you have that kind of where that energy can be amped based on what the consistent teachings are. But I honestly, for me, I don't quite. I still don't really quite understand that. You would think it would be where you're not, where maybe the energy might actually be diminished, because you have the Sun being involved with energy, and then making an adverse aspect to your Sun, which is involved in kind of, in that kind of involved with energy as well, whether it could be creative or just general, vitality and energy or what have you. But anyway, that's just my own, my own, kind of incorporating my own thoughts on that, injecting that. But anyway. Well, another thing too, as far as saving symbols go, this could be significant as well as the degree that this could impact and flavor the interpretation. Now, the fact it's going to be at 9 degrees Aries, this full moon in Aries, it could indicate, for some people, this could be about finding out, maybe they have this ability to have this position that could be an unorthodox type of position that might require fortitude, and really, and it might be in gaining some kind of acclaim for it. It could be doing something like a stuntsman, like an Evel Knievel type position, or doing something with the circus, something where, like on a high wire, and you're maybe not using netting, something where, like a Nick, what is it, Nick? I don't know if I'm saying his name right. Nick Wendell. He was like the first person to tightrope over the Grand Canyon without netting. Something that might be a little bit different, very unique, where you're getting some kind of accolades or recognition. What was that Houdini that did those? I don't know if he was considered a stuntsman, or what his what his actual title or position was, going underwater and being chained, or having, and finding a way to extricate himself from those chains, something like that. And also, this ninth degree of Aries, as far as segment symbols go, could also emphasize emerging victorious in battles. It can be more auspicious for that. Say, if you have this in your seventh house, for example, it could be manifested in emerging victorious in some kind of legal battle, especially if it makes good, positive aspects to other points in your natal chart. Say, if it makes a sextile or trine to your natal Jupiter, that could actually be a situation that could be more fortuitous, and it could be something which might even have more prosperity, or even say a sextile or trine to Venus, or even maybe even a conjunction to it. So anyways, really not much more I wanted to really want to get at as far as this goes. That's pretty much it. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.